everybody. Welcome you back to ICT project course module. I'm Tushara Silva from University of Moratuwa, bringing you ICT project Familiarization Week 1 Part 2. Throughout this session, we will be able to look at a sample ICT project and also to identify major functionalities included in that system. You can relook at your own systems that you already have developed, or you may learn from your peers if they have developed any or you have used any that can also be analyzed. You need to develop certain skills to be successful in this course module. So sometimes you may need to revisit on your knowledge areas and identify the things that you need to develop more. By nature of this project, you need to develop a project by the end of this course module. We all are receiving electricity bills by end of a month. So what does it include? It tells you how many units have you used and how much money you do need to pay. It also gives you a pending amount that you need to pay. Think of an electricity board who handles many records as such. Electricity boards have multiple customers. So based on their needs, they need to develop the monthly usage bill. So they need to manage customers as well. They might need to add new customers or remove existing customers from their systems. So change customer name or the telephone number, any details, or display the pending bills. So those are the major actions they need to perform. More importantly, they have to keep all the records permanently. So having a manual system which facilitates all these requirements is not easy. So this is one of the places where we can develop an automated electricity bill management system which assists an electricity board to facilitate, to manage their electricity bills, add customers, display records, and many more. So I'll bring you through a sample system that we could think of. Look at this. This is the front end of electricity management system. So it gives you multiple options for you to perform. Among those functions, add a new customer, display customer records, compute customer bills. So that's the most complex functionality. And delete a customer record, or pressing 5, you can exit from the system. Of course, this is not a very user-friendly front end. You may think of implementing a very professional and user-friendly interfaces for your system. So what do you have to do? In order to proceed with the system, you have to press an option number. Let's see what happened when you press number 1. If your option number is 1, so that means you are going to add a new customer. So adding a customer requires inserting more information such as account number, name, and the address. So here for the simplicity, we have considered only limited number of inputs, but in real life, you may need to add many more. So as this system says, so new number will be generated. Of course, the account number can be assigned from a clerk in an electricity board, but the customer details can be provided in the application that the customer can submit. So this is basically adding new records, so very easy function, and the records will be stored in a file. In these systems, all records will be stored in a file. So that may be a place for you to think of improvement. So recording data in a file and accessing files for a large number of customers may not be so computationally efficient. So think about adding a database management systems instead of using traditional file-based system. So now think about another option that you can work with. So if you press number 2, you will be able to display customer records. So the customer we have just added, that is 0001, Misal Pereira, and the records associated to that customer will be displayed under this option. So you might see that there are no records updated yet, so we have to fill their values. So this is again a simple functions. You may write simple SQL queries if you have developed database management system to store records about the electricity customers. And now think about the option 3, which is the complicated system functionality provided in this system, compute customer bills. Of course, the system has been validated by entering valid ID numbers, account numbers. If a wrong one has been inserted, that will not be entertained. So you will be asked to enter customer account number again. So that sort of validation, simple validation have been performed. If you press number 3 and enter the customer account number correctly, you will be able to proceed with the customer bill computation. So this part of the system shows, right, the owner, Dulara Kulanka, has paid January bill and the value is 15 units have been consumed and 117 rupees and 75 cents is the monthly charge for the January month. So by displaying this sort of bill, let's go and see how these numbers have been computed. Of course, the meter reading has to be the input of the system for this module. When we try to enter the meter reading, the system will ask you to enter meter reading. So you enter values there and based on your validity of the input, system brings you forward. If you have not entered a valid number, you will not be able to proceed. So that sort of simple validation have been offered through a while. So you might choose a different loop or different condition to meet this requirement. So that means you need to have a thorough understanding about programming in a language you can use to implement this project. And once you have received a valid input for the meter reading, so you can proceed with the computation of the bill. Of course, we all are aware that different units will charge different amounts. That means for the units, total number of units lying between 1 to 30. So you will be charged 7.5 rupees per unit. So these numbers might be changing. And so if your current total number of units is in between 1 to 30, then your total price will be different. But if you are a heavy usage of the electricity, and if your prices are varying between 31 and 60. So in that situation, you know, first 30 units will be charged 7.85 each, and the rest will be charged by another value. Rates will be different from one range to another. And of course, if you have another electricity units, let's say above 85, 90, less than 90. So your values are in between 61 to 90. So you know another price will be paid for the extra value you are using above 80. So based on that, we have computed the price for each and every units that you have consumed. So as I mentioned before, this is the most complicated functionality of your system. So that functionality should be facilitated in efficient manner. So that must be the correct thing that you have to do. If you know that if you change a single value there, so big loss could be made to the electricity board. So therefore, maintaining the accuracy is critically important, and you might observe that putting these numbers for each and every range, let's say 7.85, is appearing many places in the logic. But if for any reason the electricity board decides to change these ratings, so changes are not easily made with this approach. So therefore, it's better if you can implement these rating values as constant or make it available at one single point. So in that case, when sudden changes occur, you will easily change the entire algorithm rather than doing any mistake. So that way, you may improve the efficiency and the accuracy of your system. So those are the hints you need to remember when you implement your system, which is very efficient and effective. You might observe that we have applied here if-else statements for different ranges. So make sure that the units between first 30 will be charged a one rate, and units going beyond 30 and between 60 will charge another range, another rate. And also if you are going above 60 and below 90, one rate will be applied that's different from the other two rates. So if you are going with current usage range below 160 but above 120, so definitely you need to break them into 4 categories. So likewise, your logic should be complicated, and here cannot be used a one simple statement. So that's a block of if-else conditions have been used. So then think about the complex functionalities in your systems. This is a sample output that could be generated. Of course, this is not user-friendly at all. So everything will be displayed with numbers and things, but this will be a good start. So this is one of the application that one student has developed. And you will be able to see the meter readings and the charges. Of course, we cannot go freely. We have to pay a tax. With the text added to your bill, the total outstanding bill will be computed. So bill computation needs to know the tax, total bill, monthly bill, and pending bill. And based on that only, the total amount will be calculated. So it's required for us to get the previous month's value, the updated information, pending charges, and any tax need to be added, and compute the total outstanding bill. One of the drawbacks in the system is that everything will be recorded in a manual file system. So file storage mechanism needs to be followed throughout the implementation of this application. So this is a good start when compared with our manual systems, but of course we can have a lot of improvements. So that is what you need to look into and think positively and in novel way about the existing systems and with possible improvements. So highlighting the way that it stores the values in files. So normally for each consumer, there will be a separate file, and that file will store all the values, monthly recordings, and the pending values. So handling files is critically important to get the outstanding and also compute the correct bill. So you will see that when you press number 4, what will happen? You can delete a customer record. So if you want to see what the customer number is, so you can enter the customer number and find it out and delete the file from your disk. So there may be soft delete or hard delete. If you press hard delete, the function or the file will remove completely from your system. If you press soft delete, that will mark the temporary file and the deleted option will be recorded. So you may think about which delete you need to facilitate for your system to be implemented. If you go for the soft delete, of course, records can be kept, but there will be a small tag that marks X deleted from the system. So deletion is very difficult, and we need not to conduct unless it is really required. So that avoids unwanted access to your system. So security-wise, that will be important. So this is the end of the second session. So we have learned about the electricity bill management system, the basic simple set of functionalities that you can think of, and we saw several places that we can improve it further. If you recall those places, of course, the development of user-friendly interface is one important aspect. The second important aspect is handling variables properly inside your program. So when to choose the constant, when to keep them at one common place, and when to include it inside your logic needs to be analyzed and decided carefully. So going beyond that, we saw that this system uses a traditional file system. That may be not the exact or most efficient way for us to store our records. So we know that we have relational database management system. So by using relational database management systems, we can store records efficiently, and handling those operations can be done easily by submitting a SQL query. So if you are going to develop your system, so think about all these technologies that you have learned so far. Analyze the requirements and identify major things that you need to do and separate them into submodules like the options I have provided here. So there are simple set of operations that has been included in this electricity management system, but further improvements can easily be done. This is easy to extendable. So you may say that. So adding a new function is just creating a new set of coding and completely included it here with the front end. So it's very easy to expand further. So improve your systems in that way. So even in the future, you may add multiple functionalities. So hope you all have got a clear idea about what you have to develop throughout this course module. Remember, it is a desktop application. So you can develop sample front ends and insert data, and when click buttons, and it will go to your system database, and later on you retrieve values from your database and display in the front end. So that is the simple task you have to follow throughout this course module. So by adding one module by module, you may implement your entire system. So one step at a time would be sufficient. So start today. Think about nice application that you may provide an effective solution with. I'll see you next session with the scope and identification of your problem. Thank you very much.